Believe that I said I was going to do this. All right. Oh, okay, I started off right. Oh, I think, okay, I'll come in again. The next revolution won't be in technology. Stupid way to start a speech. Because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to prove that. And what makes me think the next revolution is not going to be in technology? They're going to want to know that. Well, it's because the technological revolution has already occurred. Nope, they're not going to buy that either. All right, the technological revolution has already occurred, otherwise we wouldn't have called it a revolution. We wouldn't have said it was here. The fact that we call it a technological revolution means that it's already occurred, and that something to nothing, or nothing to something, has already happened. Well, at least I think it has, judging by the amount of email I get for Viagra and penis enlargement, breast enhancement, mortgages, and insurance. So the point is, if the technological revolution has already happened, no, that wasn't the point. I know, I'm going to go up there. Hold on, where's my notes? Right, I mean, the reason that we know that the technological revolution has already occurred is that now we have access to all kinds of information, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and so therefore, anything we want to find out about, we can find out. And in fact, many of us are suffering from catch-up because we're not there yet. You know, if you're in the training business, the next thing you know is you have to be doing webcasting and downstreaming and asynchronous online learning, or you have to go to Gareth Morgan and learn about second-generation online learning adapted to the learner's learning style. And we're not there yet. And that people want to do all their coaching and counseling on the phone, and they want to learn everything while they're sitting at their desk, as opposed to going out and finding out how to do it. So the technological revolution must have already occurred. I mean, I think they'll believe that. I mean, I believe that. So where does that leave us? I mean, I'm not sure where I'm going to go from here. We'll have to see. I mean, what if I get up there when I finally take that plane and get over my jet lag and get up there and I have the feeling that it's not working? What if I hear this voice in my head when I finally get there that says, "We are trying to connect you. Please hold on. The number you are calling knows you are waiting." Well, if the next revolution isn't in technology, of course the next question is going to be, where is it? Where is it? And this is what I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them that the next revolution has to be in our understanding of human beings and human systems. I mean, it's clear that it has to be there for all of the reasons, for all of the things that are going on in the world right now. But I want to give them some information that they may or may not know. Here's another reason why we desperately need a revolution in our understanding of human beings and human systems, is they've identified the world's funniest joke. Two hunters are out in the woods when one of them collapses. He doesn't seem to be breathing and his eyes are glazed. The other guy whips out his phone and calls the emergency services. He gasps, "My friend is dead. What should I do?" And the operator says, "Calm down, I can help. First, let's make sure he's dead." Then there's a silence and a shot rings out. Back on the phone, the guy says, "Okay, now what?" Now, isn't that proof that we need a revolution in understanding of human beings and human systems? If this is the funniest joke in the world, 65% of those who heard it thought it was funny. Good God. But you know, it's not enough to say that we need a revolution in our understanding of human beings and human systems. I think we have to prove, I'm going to have to prove that it's already on its way. I mean, I have to prove that that will be the next revolution. And I expect everybody in that audience is going to say, at least in their heads, oh yeah? What makes you think that? What makes you think that that's what's going to happen? And I'm going to have to prove it. So I'm going to have to look things up. I'm going to have to read a few books or something. I'm going to have to substantiate an opinion. And I've got some books here. Maybe this will do. I don't know if I can summarize this. But here's a book by a Peruvian economist. His name is Hernando de Soto, and he wrote this book. I think they would like to hear about this one. It's called The Mystery of Capital, Why Capitalism Triumphs in the West and Fails Everywhere Else. And it's an amazing book. It's got recommendations from various Nobel laureates in economics. But what it is, it's a closet NLP book, and I think they'll be interested in this. He's come up with this explanation that I think is revolutionary and helps us move forward in our understanding of human systems. He's figured out why is it that capitalism works in the West and it doesn't work in the former communist countries or in the developing world. It's because the Western world has mental representations of property. I think they're going to like that. Is we have a system by which you can hold a piece of paper that establishes the value of those things that you own, and that 90% of the population in the poorer countries is excluded from legally owning what they own, and therefore they have no access to it. And he said the reason nobody's figured this out is it's so obvious, nobody's thought of it. And he said the statistics are mind-boggling. The poor are sitting on $93 trillion US of real estate, but it's all dead capital because they don't have title, so they can't use it. And he said that the savings of the poor in Egypt are, for example, 55 times the foreign investment ever been pumped into Egypt. In Haiti, it's 15 times. It's all untouchable. And he did this study, and I think they'll be interested in this. He's figured out what it would take in these different countries for people to actually legally participate in their present economic system. So if you want to register a lot on state-owned desert land in Egypt, for example, it would take 168 bureaucratic steps, 77 procedures, and it would take somewhere up to 14 years for you to register a desert lot. Now, why someone would want to register a desert lot was another question. In the Philippines, he says it would take about 25 years to get title to a shanty that you already own and live in. And in Peru, to create a new legal business, which is unlike most of the businesses in Peru, it would take you 6 hours a day, 289 days to register it, and it would cost you $1,200 US, or 31 times the monthly minimum wage. So that nobody, hardly anybody, can afford to do anything legally there, because it takes too long and there's too many steps. But what he's come up with in 2 pages is the steps it would take to legalize and formalize a property management system. And he goes into some detail. He says it's all about mental representations. Some of the most important human creations have been new representational systems, and that's what he feels we need. Well, this is a revolutionary understanding of third world economics, because for years what's been happening is people have been pouring money, or not pouring money, into the third world and then blaming the third world when nothing changes. Well, this would, if they actually used his system, it would transform the third world, because suddenly they would have access to capital. I think people would be interested in that. Well, at least mildly anyway. But that's about human systems. It's human systems. But I think what they're going to be more interested in is some of the new stuff about human beings. I think that's what it might be. I don't know if they've heard of this man, but there's this University of Kentucky professor named David Snowden who accidentally came up with the cure for Alzheimer's. Well, sorry, the precursor for Alzheimer's. He spent years and he studied nuns, and the name of his book was Aging with Grace. And here's an epidemiologist who found a gold mine. Here was a community that was closed, that they all ate the same things, they had approximately the same education, they had the same value systems, they all came in at the same age, and yet some of these women in their older age got Alzheimer's and some of them didn't. And the other thing is they documented everything. So here's what he found. He found that whether or not someone gets Alzheimer's can be predicted based on 2 learned skills: richness of vocabulary and reading comprehension. Now that's pretty fabulous to have found that out accidentally as he was studying these women. 90% of the nuns with Alzheimer's had something that's called low idea density. 13% of the women with Alzheimer's had high idea density. So the more ideas, and idea density, I think they'll have to explain that, is a concept about the number of ideas you can stuff into 10 words. So the women with high idea density, when they were 20 and 21 and when they entered the convent, only 13% of them got Alzheimer's. I thought that's interesting. So he compared some examples. Here's someone with low idea density, writing her biography when she entered in 1913. I was born in Eau Claire, Wisconsin on May 24th, 1913, and was baptized in St. James Church. Sister Helen. Sister Emma, on the other hand, had high idea density. Well, it was about a half hour before midnight between February 28th and 29th of the leap year 1912 when I began to live and to die as the 3rd child of my mother, whose maiden name is Hilda Hoffman, and my father, Otto Schmidt. And it goes all the way through to their autobiographies that they had to write when they entered the convent. Here's Sister Helen finishing it off. I prefer teaching music to any other profession. And here's Sister Emma. Now I am wandering about in Dove's Lane, waiting, yet only 3 more weeks to follow in the footprints of my spouse, bound to him by the holy vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. So that once you know something as revolutionary as vocabulary and reading comprehension, the more you develop those skills early in life, the less likely you are to have Alzheimer's. Basically, what you need to do is read to your children in order to prevent them from having Alzheimer's. Well, this is a revolutionary understanding. A revolutionary understanding of our human brain. I think people will want to know about that. I think they'll want to know about that. But this is an NLP conference, I think. So they're going to hear about NLP, because I think NLP is proof that we're en route to a revolutionary understanding of human beings and human systems. I mean, what is NLP all about in the first place? It's about modeling. It's about creating models from success. Well, already that was a revolutionary concept. Study what works instead of winkling out what doesn't work. So we've developed models in NLP. And what we have as a community is a vast number of people who keep wondering, how does that work? And how can you make that happen? And so we've created all kinds of models in NLP. And some people have chosen, instead of broadening what they've done, is to go in depth. Like, for example, what they've done is taken studies and done research. And some of the people that I've been working with, who've been working with meta programs, have actually been doing marketing research. A couple of my colleagues at home have found out the difference verbally between people who are able to quit smoking and people who aren't. And in fact, helped Nicodern design all of their commercials for the patch based on that research. I think people are going to want to know about that. And while most of it's proprietorial, some of them are going to want to know about this. And that it turns out to be, if you wish to quit smoking and you do it only in auditory, chances are you will not succeed. There's a ringing sound in here. I wonder if that's the strength of the ideas or the problem with the microphones. And there's been other studies done. I mean, for example, some of them are not quite as useful. I mean, we know the difference now between the patterns of people who use one brand of toilet paper versus another brand. I'm not sure that they'll be interested in that. But a lot of people have taken the time to go into depth and figure out what works and what hasn't, because this is the nature of NLP. And I think the fact that NLP now exists and that we now know that the unconscious mind not only plays a role in what we do, can be influenced in very specific ways, this is proof that we are en route to a revolution in understanding human beings and human systems. I mean, what if people everywhere actually started to learn how they can influence their unconscious mind to be the most effective and loving person they could be? What if the NLP community decided that that was their role and that they took it very seriously? What if the NLP community decided that their role was in fact to help the world have that revolution come? And that every time we do our work with another individual, whether it be in a classroom and a group, or we work with a group of teachers, or we work one-on-one in coaching or in therapy, what if we figured out that every time we do this, that what we were actually doing was bringing about the revolution? Nah. That's too much a responsibility. You can't foist that on a small community of people who don't like to be like other people who like to be renegades and really want to do their own thing and think they know better than everybody else because we know the unconscious mind. And we have skills other people don't have. You know, that reminds me of when a bunch of us were at that leadership conference in California, planning the future of NLP. Oh, could use a massage. And one group decided that their title would be, "What if NLP were so mainstream that the renegades went somewhere else?" You see, one of the challenges I think we've got as a community is we don't speak the same language as everybody else. And we're going to have to learn how to establish credibility. See, I think we're all into rapport, and we understand rapport, but rapport without credibility will never get us anywhere. What if our ideas were actually accepted by legitimate bodies? Now, of course, in England and in Europe, they're much more accepted than in North America, so it's less of a problem here. But what if the NLP community figured out a way to answer the call? You see, it's not that easy, in fact, because as soon as you say to a group of people, well, we figured out how to solve, how to cure phobias, and it only takes 10 minutes, and everybody goes skeptical, this isn't a useful way to present ideas. What if the NLP community understood exactly what needs to be done to help everybody want to learn these fabulous skills, and then begin to model, and begin to spread out models around the world? What if we took that on as our mission? You see, because then we'd actually have to walk our talk. We'd actually have to match people in their values and their way of thinking, and not come across as if we actually already know everything and we're not interested in you if you're not interested in us. What if we actually dropped the jargon and started talking like real people? See, I think that's a challenge that we might want to take on. But what would make people want to do that? I mean, it just seems so difficult, and it seems like, what's the point? Because, I mean, it's just such a big challenge. Well, I think there's another reason why we have to do this. I mean, our youth need our help as much as anybody else. I mean, judging by what people are writing in high school these days, she had a deep, throaty, genuine laugh, like that sound a dog makes just before it throws up. These people need help. The plan was simple, like my brother-in-law Phil. But unlike Phil, this plan just might work. Someone has to help these people. The ballerina rose gracefully en pointe and extended one slender leg behind her, like a dog at a fire hydrant. He was deeply in love. When she spoke, he thought he heard bells, as if she were a garbage truck backing up. Somebody's got to do something. Well, what else are we going to be able to talk about? I mean, see, the NLP community has always taken on the rest of the world. We've always done that. I mean, and now what we've got to do is figure out what are the next steps. I mean, we've come to a certain level of maturity. There are hundreds of books written on NLP. We have conferences all over the world. We get together and chat in our own little jargon. But what are we doing for the rest of the world? How does the rest of the world get on board with what we know and they don't know? And how do you communicate that without saying we know something that you don't know? What if we imagined that the rest of the world was incredibly, incredibly skeptical about what we're doing, and yet at the same token might just be interested if we were able to phrase it correctly? If we were able to engage their interest or their curiosity? What if we were able to start rumors that would create movements without having to convert people to new religions? I know one way to do it. We could start a cult, then everybody would want to know what was going on. But then again, we might end up all being arrested. There's got to be a solution to this. What if part of every conference that we talked at or went to see people at, instead of suffering from the NLP disease, oh, I bet they don't even know about that. It's so rampant. It's everywhere. The NLP disease, I bet they've never heard of it, but I bet they are all suffering from it. Healitis. It's the need to heal other people, whether or not they've asked you to heal them. Hi, how are you? Oh, I've had a really shitty winter. Ask that part of yourself. Did I ask you to ask that part of myself? So instead of suffering from healitis, I was going somewhere with that. I had an idea. What was that? I was definitely going somewhere with that. Anyway, I'm sure that that's a disease that could be healed itself. And what if we used NLP to heal ourselves and to attract other people to something that they might want to learn? That's where I was going with that, but I can't quite remember. I did have a point there somewhere. Anyway, so these are what I'm thinking about. I just don't know how to say it all. What if I get there and I get up to the front and I'm looking at all those faces who are going to be looking at me expecting me to say something relatively intelligent, and I've got nothing to say? What if none of this actually makes sense? What if nobody believes that we need a revolution? What if nobody believes that the revolution is ever going to get here and it's always 2 steps forwards and 1 step back? What if they're really skeptical? Nah, maybe not. I'm just going to have to stand up there and say what I think. And maybe if I'm just talking opinions, they won't actually make me have to prove anything, right? Because this is what I think. I don't know what they think. I don't know what they're going to think. But what if the NLP community took on the commitment to make change happen in a way that change needs to happen by absolutely matching and creating credibility and rapport? And I think that one of the things we need to learn how to do as a community, if we are going to actually create credibility, is produce more research. And I know it's happening in different places, but we need to have juried research. We need to be publishing, we need to be doing that kind of thing. We also need to be speaking in other communities. We need to go out and actually work with teachers instead of just criticizing. We need to work with doctors instead of just saying that they screwed up my life. We need to be working with patients and doctors. I mean, some of the work that I've done with children or with the staff in day camps and residential camps for children with cancer. I mean, we need to be doing more of that, and I think people are doing that, but I don't think people know enough about it. I don't think that we tell each other enough about what we're doing in the community and support it. And I think it would be great if we, as a community, could figure out how to do that. And I'm wondering if in our next gatherings we have a whole section just set aside for world-changing activities, and that we take on the chutzpah for doing that. Wouldn't that be fun? Who knows if it's possible? Anyway, that's what I want to talk to them about. probably somewhat inarticulately rather. Where's my water? You know, I think that deep down inside, the NLP community and all of the people in it know that they have a part to play in this, and I think they already know, in a sense. There's no point me saying that to them, because I think we all know that our role is to bring about change. And whenever I talk to NLP groups, they say the same thing to me. They say, or individuals, they always say, well, you know, I'm in this because I want to make a difference. I don't know any other community that holds that value absolutely across the board. I want to make a difference. And I think that because we have such a variety of interests, that means we can touch many different things at many different times. Well, I haven't got a lot more to say to them. I mean, the last thing I actually want to say is, you know, the next revolution won't be in technology. But that's why the world needs the NLP community to make a difference. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to tell them. Please tell me that this was not a career-ending move. Thank you very much. I'm done, actually. I know I'm a little early, but I'm actually done. I'm going back to bed now. Worry about something else. Get up in the middle of the night and worry about something else. Good night. Thank you. That's it. I got my stuff. I'm out of here. I'm done. That's it. I'm not coming back. I've had it. Bye. See you later. Where's